Okay, now for question 4.4.7, the question states that in an effort to gauge how the country's population feels about the immigration, researchers surveyed adult citizens. One question asked was, on the whole, do you think immigration is a good thing or a bad thing for this country today? Now the results of the survey by ethnicity are given in the accompanying table, and we're going to complete part A through F. So here we have 4 rows. You have whether it's a good thing, bad thing, good and bad, and no opinion. And then we have 3 columns that represent non-Hispanic whites, blacks, and Hispanics. So you can see here are the numbers for that. So the first question for part A is asking us how many adult citizens were surveyed and how many Hispanics were surveyed. So what we want to be able to do is to first find out what is the column total for non-Hispanic whites. So if we add up 189 plus 102 plus 9 plus 9, that's going to give us a total of 309. And then for blacks, if we add up 150 plus 109 plus 14 plus 11, that gives us a total of 284. And then for Hispanics, if we add 141, 33, 12, and 6, that gives us 192. And likewise, if we want to add up the rows, we would add up all the numbers in the rows. So for a good thing, 189 plus 150 plus 141, which gives us 480. For the bad thing, 102, 109 plus 33, which gives you 244. For good and bad, if we add up all 3 of those, we get 35. And for no opinion, if we add those up, that gives us 26. Now, for the total of the marginal distribution column, if we add up 480, 244, 35, and 26, then we would get a total of 785. And likewise, if we add up the row for the marginal distribution, 309, 284, and 192, it would be 785. So the total number of citizens who were surveyed would then be 785. And then the question for us to find out how many Hispanics were surveyed, well, then we can see here that the total for that column would be 192. Now the second part, they want us to be able to then construct a relative frequency marginal distribution. So in order to do that, we're going to take the totals for each row and the totals for each column, and then we're going to divide those totals by the total number of citizens who were surveyed. So again, going back to the first question, the total numbers of citizens that were surveyed were 785. So if we take a look at the total of non-Hispanic whites was 309, if we divide that by 785, then that gives us 0.394. Likewise, if we take the number for 284 for the column here and divide it by 75, that gives us 0.362. And then for the total for Hispanics, 192 divided by 75 gives us 0.245. And the same thing over here. If we take the total of 244, divide that by 785, that gives us 0.311. And the same thing here. If we take the total of 35 divided by 75 gives us 0.045. And the last one, 26 divided by 75 gives us 0.033. And ultimately, when you add up the total column or the total row for the relative frequency marginal distribution, it should always give you the amount of 1. Now for part C, it says, what proportion of adult citizens feel that immigration is a good thing for this country? So from part B, we're going to determine the relative frequency that corresponds to citizens who feel that immigration is a good thing for the country. So we're going to look at this row up here. And that row, at the end of that row, gives us a value of 0.611 for the relative marginal distribution. So therefore, the proportion of adult citizens who feel that immigration is a good thing for this country is 0.611. Now in part D, they want us to construct a conditional distribution of immigration opinion by ethnicity. So we're going to take each value, each element in the column and divide it by the total of that column. And the total of that column was 309. So we're going to take 189 divided by 309, which gives us this value. 102 divided by 309, which gives us 0.330. 9 over 309, which gives you 0.029. And 9 over 309 gives you the same result. And then when you add up those total, it should give you a value of 1. Likewise, the total for the column for blacks was 284 that were surveyed. And so therefore, we're going to take each number in that element of that particular column and divide it by 284 to get these results. And last, we take the column for Hispanics that were surveyed, and that total for that column was 192, and we're going to take each element that's in that column and divide it by 192 to get the conditional distribution. And so therefore, we want to be able to draw a bar graph of the conditional distribution found in Part D. So if you notice here where it says a good thing for the non-Hispanic whites, you have a total of 0.612, so there's where it ends for the blue graph. For bad thing, we have 0.330, which is located right here in the green bar graph. The red is where it says good and bad and no opinion. They both had the same amount, so therefore that was the same. And then if you take a look at the next ethnicity group, which is blacks, then you would see that you have these amounts that match the height of all four of these bar graphs. And likewise, for the last ethnicity group that was surveyed for Hispanics, then you can see you have 0.734 all the way down to 0.031. And then the last part is asking us that is ethnicity associated with opinion regarding immigration, and if so, how? Well, note that for Hispanics, the relative frequency that corresponds to citizens who feel that immigration is a good thing for the country is larger than for the other ethnicities, and the relative frequency that corresponds to citizens who feel that immigration is a bad thing for the country is lower than the other ethnicities. So therefore, you would use that information to then determine whether ethnicity is associated with opinion regarding immigration.